Harry's Wife, Part 101.48. Hollywood freezes them out. It might be thought that things were bad being bombed out by Bennifer, J-Lo and Ben Affleck, but according to this article, things really aren't going well at all as a consequence of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex being frozen out of Hollywood, one red carpet event at a time. The article that is contained in Spectator World and written by Cara Kennedy tells us as follows. What does it mean to be an A-list Hollywood power couple? Celebrity, yes, but also respect. Look at George and Amal Clooney, a high-powered heartthrob, and his equally high-powered human rights lawyer wife. Or look at Beyoncé and Jay-Z, hip-hop royalty and dedicated philanthropists. You and your partner can buy a mansion with the right zip code, hang out with the right people, and say the right things at the right charity events. But that does not make you a Hollywood power couple. Modern-day stardom is about more than name recognition. It takes charisma, dedication, and charm. For all their striving, Prince Harry and Harry's wife just don't have it. Britain has realised this, and Hollywood is starting to realise it too. Every streaming service deal has invited quiet sniggers. Every ill-judged interview and profile-raising event now brings with it a mixture of pity and irritation. These corporations are learning that they're getting little bang for their buck. For over the last few months, there have been whispers of Spotify growing more frustrated with Duchess Doolittle after the $25 million deal that went public in December 2020 only yielded one 33-minute Christmas episode. It seems like a stern word may have worked, as we recently saw the much-awaited launch of Harry's wife's new podcast, Archetypes. Harry's wife calls the podcast a place where we investigate, dissect, and subvert the labels that try to hold women back. Her first special guest was the notably downtrodden Serena Williams. Listeners were offered little more than the Harry's Wife show, with the Duchess managing to talk for 11 minutes straight before her guest got a word in edgeways. Next, we were delivered a 6,500-word interview in New York Magazine, which covered the Duchess's views on the monarchy, the British press, and racism, indirect assertion of control and smearing, in case, somehow, you didn't know them already. In the article, Harry's wife claimed she is still viewed as a real-life princess, delusion, and told assorted lies about the British press. Those were quickly debunked. When Harry's wife claimed that in the United Kingdom Archie would be subjected to a press pen of 40 people snapping pictures on the school run, royal reporters quickly called her claim complete tosh, adding that her sister-in-law, the then Duchess of Cambridge, has happily been doing the school runs for years without any problem. She also added that she and Harry were like salt and pepper, saying, "You never move one without the other." Assertion of control, objectification. Blink twice if you need help, Harry. The interview didn't seem to get the reception they presumably hoped for, with even the staunch Sussex fans put off by it. When the Duke and Duchess failed this year to snag an invite to the Oscars, wounding, or the Beckham wedding, wounding, it was clear that they are slowly being frozen out of Hollywood, one red carpet event at a time. Last year, the couple didn't make the cut for Barack Obama's 60th birthday celebration, see parts passing, Obama Birthday Bummer, which was attended by Tom Hanks, Beyoncé and Jay-Z and the Clooneys. Angela Levin, Prince Harry's biographer, suspects that the Obamas are wary of Harry's wife's supposed desire to run for the presidency and worried about upsetting the British royals. One LA source told me that the main reason for them being excluded is that organisers know that all media attention would be on them and take away from the event or people there to celebrate, Harry's wife's need for fuel, control, and the absence of emotional empathy for the impact that it has upon other people, and a lack of accountability. They also claimed that one A-lister known for lavish parties left the pair off a guest list because of their capacity to share. Lack of accountability, sense of entitlement, lack of trustworthiness, absence of emotional empathy, adding that celebs never know where details of their private lives might end up. This is quite the irony, given Harry and Harry's wife's self-professed obsession with privacy. Hypocrisy. It's also a far cry from the open arms welcome that they presumably expected, sense of entitlement, delusion, would await them in Los Angeles after turning their backs on royal duties in 2020. Many of the worst aspects of the couple's priorities were apparent during their 2018 wedding. It was a lavish affair that came with a $37 million price tag, a diamond tiara, a $471,000 electric Jaguar, a Givenchy wedding gown, and a bridesmaid's fitting that may or may not have seen the Duchess of Cambridge reduced to tears. Harry's wife described the day as a spectacle for the world, grandiosity, as though she had no choice in the matter. Never mind that Harry's cousin, Princess Beatrice, quietly wed her husband in a private service in Windsor 2 years later. So privately, in fact, that they had to announce to the world that it had even happened. In hindsight, it is now clear that the Sussexes' wedding was part of Harry's wife's plan to make it in Hollywood. Stars such as Elton John, the Beckhams, Serena Williams, George Clooney, Idris Elba, Priyanka Chopra, and, of course, Oprah Winfrey lined the pews. A gathering of the closest friends of the bride and groom? Well, not quite. One guest that attended the ceremony told me that nobody there knew each other. It was a show. Part of me thinks she Googled who would make her look popular and shipped them over for the day. Probably about right. Of course, that shows the way that she bolts people on as extensions of herself. Character trait acquisition. The British journalist Rachel Johnson, sister of Boris, tells a story that was doing the rounds in the weeks after the wedding. While Carolyn Bartholomew, Diana's former roommate, was waiting for the wedding service to start, she turned to the couple alongside her and asked how they knew Harry or Harry's wife. "We don't," replied the Clooneys. "Perhaps it's a cruel rumour, but it illustrates a feature of their attempt at stardom. They can command the attendance of global VIPs, but they can't command their friendship," which shows, of course, the inherently unpleasant nature of Harry's wife, and that there's nothing there. Just 2 years after the wedding, the Sussexes stepped down as working royals, citing their need to take a step forward into a more peaceful life. Facade management. After the decision was finalised, it was widely believed that Harry's wife had won. She would reap the rewards of her blue-blooded marriage, but would no longer be tied down by the archaic rituals of British royalty, and could instead begin a Hollywood dynasty of her own, founded on a quest for social justice. Facade management. But with every step she takes, Harry's wife's ascent looks less and less certain. If recent months have shown us anything, it's that she hasn't won anything at all, and that she vastly underestimated how fickle Hollywood is, mistaking 5 minutes of fame for lifelong relevance. You can't just take a mid-budget TV actress and a mid-ranking royal and use their considerable bank balance to buy Hollywood status. Ooh, zinger. Harry and Harry's wife's attempts to manufacture friendship have continued. Last year, Prince Harry, seemingly desperate to let the world know that he was in with the Monty Shit Show crowd, told Dax Shepard on his Armchair Expert podcast that the pair had struck up a friendship with neighbours Orlando Bloom and his partner Katy Perry. Harry said, "Just 2 days ago, Orlando Bloom sent me a message because he's down the road," probably saying, "Will you fucking keep the noise down, you ginger bastard?" adding that the pair keep in touch. But an LA source claimed that, despite what they want you to think, Orlando Bloom and Harry are nowhere near being close friends. Unsurprisingly, the wedge between the pair is down to Harry's wife, Kelsey Sapri, who, a source reports, is still angry about Katy Perry's interview, where the singer said that Harry's wife would have been well served by another wedding dress fitting. The source added that the men are trying to stay out of it, and although they are being cordial and kind to one another, they are certainly not going to the local bar together for a pint. It can't help that, Perry added in the interview, that Kate won the wedding dress sweepstakes. Ouch. Speaking to people in LA, there's a sense that Tinseltown is starting to see through Harry's wife's truth. Angelinos are realising that British people didn't hate her because she wasn't white, or because she had a career, or any other of the reasons suggested by the Sussexes' PR. Facade management, revision of history, lies. There was no big Harry's wife conspiracy that kicked into gear as soon as she stepped on British soil. Correct. The public there simply saw through her. She lacked the understanding that if taxpayers are footing the bill for her luxury lifestyle, they expect things in return. Is a few pictures once a year and the sight of the new royal baby too much to ask? Brits also don't take too kindly to being branded racist bigots when Harry's wife doesn't get her own way. Assertion of control by smearing an insult. The Sussexes' flop can't be traced back to a single event. It's the sum of a series of mistakes fueled by a failure to understand royalty and celebrity. When the actress moved to a palace, she brought with her a showbiz appetite for drama, which of course is her narcissism on show. Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace briefly hosted something akin to a Real Housewives spin-off. The starlet and her team dreamed up personality clashes and confected plot lines and fed them to the London newspapers. Revision of history, triangulation, lie, smearing. But the day-to-day job of a modern royal is gloriously glamour-free. It's about opening schools and chatting to nurses. There is a relentless focus on celebrating and spending time with the little people. It takes a certain type of person, willing to smile, wave, and to do little else, to marry into the firm. As the very high royal divorce rate of the last 30 years will tell you, not many are cut out for it. Now the Sussexes are discovering that the reverse is true. You cannot simply take a prince to Hollywood and expect him to become a star. Their fame stems from both royalty and celebrity, but they're not the same thing. The death of the Queen, whose life was defined by dutiful public service, was an acute reminder of those differences. A strange combination meant that Her Majesty was somehow the most famous and recognised woman in the world. Yet we knew so very little about her thoughts and opinions. In fact, in 70 years on the throne, you could count on one hand the times that she expressed her point of view. And that is what true duty is. The Queen's death is about far more than the story of the feuding Windsors and Sussexes, of course, but it will change the dynamics of this important relationship and make a royal comeback harder for Harry's wife and Harry. Hollywood isn't blind to their intentions. Gossip extraordinaire Paris Hilton told me that he never believed the Sussexes stepped aside because they wanted more privacy. It was more of a desire to call their own shots, assertion of control. But no one seems to have told them what they wanted. To be the Clooneys or the Obamas was not something that could merely be bought. Hilton added that what happened next in terms of interviews and million-dollar deals was unsurprising. They had a need to exploit Prince Harry's family for financial gain, absence of emotional empathy, residual benefit. They needed money, residual benefit. They wanted to live a superstar lifestyle with a multi-billion-dollar mega mansion in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the United States. They live a very expensive life, and entertainment is where the money is. You can see why Harry, and particularly Harry's wife, thought it could work. At her core, Harry's wife is a showgirl. Well, no, she's a narcissist. Forget smiling at nurses, she could take her star power and his royal privilege global. The problem is that her confidence stems from what can be, at best, described as a loose relationship with reality, indeed. As the British royal family has learned the hard way, Harry's wife is a fantasist, i.e., a deluded narcissist. She was just 11 years old when she first appeared on Nickelodeon to condemn sexist language in a TV commercial about dish soap. It's a story that she brings up from time to time, claiming that she was so furious when she saw the sexist Procter & Gamble advertisement that she decided to write to the most powerful people she could think of, including then First Lady Hillary Clinton, and managed to get the ad pulled. When she was a D-list celeb who starred in a middling series on the USA cable network, nobody fact-checked her anecdotes. But as her status grew and her utterances became ever more embellished, they attracted more scrutiny. The investigative journalist Tom Bauer claims that the Procter & Gamble story, including Hillary Clinton's supposed response, was merely the invention of an adoring father, Tom Markle. That fantastical worldview certainly runs in the family, although quite who counts as family is, as ever with Harry's wife, contested. Her sister is currently suing her for claiming that she was an only child during the infamous Oprah interview in March 2021. Familial discord. The interview in New York, Meghan of Monty Shit Show, includes her newest and most self-aggrandizing story. She claims that during a visit to the Lion King in London, a cast member from South Africa pulled her aside. He looked at me, and he's just like light. He said, "I just need you to know, when you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets the same we did when Mandela was freed from prison." Lie, revision of history, delusion, and, of course, analysed and explained in parts passim. A showgirl's skills can be useful when carrying out the duties of a smiling, waving, fantastic hat-wearing royal, as we learned from Princess Diana. No, Diana, Princess of Wales. There is always an element of faking it. But Harry's wife's preoccupation with the superficial is all-consuming, as is her self-obsession. Her tale about the P&G commercials tells us all we need to know about how she wants the world to see her. While normal teenagers wasted their time playing with friends and answering teachers back in high school, Harry's wife was standing up for all the oppressed women standing over the kitchen sink. Delusion, extension of herself. Dear reader, while you were doing nothing, Harry's wife was changing the world. Harry's wife and Harry's recent decision to return to the United Kingdom poses awkward questions for the couple. Why return now, when they didn't come to the funeral of Prince Philip, or to support William at the unveiling of the Princess Diana statue at Kensington Palace? And why step foot in a place that made you feel so unwelcome that, according to Harry's wife, it made her feel suicidal? Compartmentalization, hypocrisy. Perhaps the answer is that they have exhausted their options in Hollywood. In her New York interview, Harry's wife told the world that she was very aware that people see her as a princess. Delusion, self-absorption. And at this point, I'm not sure whether this is her attempt at satire, no, or whether she's fallen victim to her own imagination, yes. The objective truth is that Harry's wife's relationship with reality is blurred. Whether or not people saw her as a princess 4 years ago, they do not regard her in the same way now. There is no doubt that if he returned, Harry would be welcomed by his family and the British people with open arms. But for Harry's wife, the game could well and truly be up. Perez Hilton summed up the feeling in Hollywood. They are not our royals. We don't have any allegiance to them. We don't have any reverence for them. We will not curtsy in front of them. To us, they are just celebrities. That's the problem with mixing monarchy with celebrity. The two worlds overlap, but they are not the same. Harry's wife and Harry claim to have one foot in both. Increasingly, they aren't welcome in either. That article, of course, is a huge amount of challenge fuel towards Harry's wife, but it also demonstrates that not only is the United Kingdom sick of them, that the United States either doesn't care or is growing increasingly tired of them, and the very place that she thought that she could land a blow, stake her claim, wants nothing more to do with them either. The downward spiral continues. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.